bienvenidas a todos. Este es el What Remains of Edith Finch. Vamos a estar jugándolo completito, así que recuerden comentar, likear, compartir, todo me ayuda muchísimo. Y suscríbanse, a ver si llegamos a las 100 personitas para el final del año, gente. Si quieren ver más gameplays, ahí al final del video les va a aparecer la ventanita. Y si no, también los tienen debajo. Así que miren, estoy intentando poner en vivo mis comandos y ni yo me los acuerdo cómo son. Ahí vamos arrancando. Cuando hay de PC siempre te muestra que hay un tercio en vez de un cuarto. Ah, mira.
A lot of this isn't going to make sense to you, and I'm sorry about that. I'm just going to start at the beginning, with the house.
Yo lo escuché muy bajito, no sé ustedes. Voy a subir un poquito más.
My brother Milton disappeared when I was 4. It was like the house just swallowed him up.
Tiene una coronita.
Someone had put up a chain link fence, but it looked like I wasn't the first person to hop it.
Ah, yo decía que hay a la derecha de pantalla. Y es que hay tipo un mosquito en la tele.
I lived here until I was 11, but I wasn't allowed inside half the rooms.
Ahí está, Milton es mi hermano, yo soy Edith, calculo. O sea, tengo 7 años menos que Milton. What? Ok, está bien. Y mi otro hermano es Luis. Por lo que entendemos, ¿no? Buen guante, ¿eh?
Inside the mailbox were bills from 7 years ago, marked urgent, open immediately.
Si quieren que les suba el volumen, díganme, ¿eh? Yo lo escucho bien. Ahora igual voy a ver cómo pica.
I hadn't been back since my brother Lewis's funeral.
Lo que pasa es que estoy leyendo y...
In a will, my mother left me a key, but didn't tell me what it unlocked.
Suena un pelín para que no reviente. Buena, Pau.
Yeah.
Muchas gracias por esa raid. Bienvenido a todos los que vienen de parte de Pau Chan. ¿Cómo terminaron esas partiditas? Te tiro el comandillo también. Porque hoy mis moderadores, tal vez pensé yo sabría. Uy. Uno está morfando, el otro está durmiendo, el otro vaya a saber dónde anda. Estoy jugando este juego que hace bastante que quería jugar. Que no sé qué onda, la verdad. ¿Cómo andas, Pau? Muchas gracias por la raid. Bienvenida, primera vez que te pasas por acá por el canal. ¿Estás con el cóndor? ¿Sigue por ahí el cóndor volando o no? O ya dejó de volar.
The truth is, even after I inherited the house, I never thought I'd come back to it. But now I had questions about my family that only the house knew the answers to.
Ok, muy bien.
The woods around the house have always been uncomfortably silent. As if they're about to say something but never do.
Es claramente una peli interactiva esto. Yo todo tranqui, Pau. Acá recién arrancando. Hoy lo vamos a jugar completo este juego, así que... Si querés, agárrate algo de comer, algo de tomar. Y a disfrutar, que es un juego cortito. Son 2 horas más o menos. Supuestamente, ¿no? Y acá tengo el otro camino. Yo soy muy hincha pelota, yo soy de revisar todo siempre. Bien ahí, ¿qué onda? El tocayo hidratando. Yo también me voy a hidratar de paso. Hay que limpiar la casa acá tanto. Miren ¿cómo se llama? El de Harry Potter. Gracias por el hosteito. ¿Ves? Ahí sale. A Fran le sale el hosteito. No sé por qué al perro no le salió la alerta. Al fin te veo. Sí, lo que pasa es que yo aprendo tarde, Pau.
No
Lo
one's driven
reconozco.
this way in a long time, but I saw a few hoofprints.
Lo reconozco. Ay, yo me iba a dormir, parece bueno. Mira, si te gusta este estilo, qué sé yo, no, todavía no te sabría decir porque recién estoy caminando, ¿viste? No, mucho para mí no debe tener el juego. Solo caminar, leer y estirar la mano para agarrar objetos, ¿no? Pero bueno, no mucho más. Pero mañana lo subo ahí a YouTube. Que ahí puse, si alguien me quiere repetir bueno, creo que no sé si pueden ponerlo. Yo por la duda se lo pongo. Ahí también si quieres sumarte, Pau. Suelo subir casi todos los juegos que hago de gameplay y los subo ahí. Este lo voy a estar subiendo. Si puedo los corto, me parece que cortitos gustan más a la gente. Intento meter más o menos videos de entre 30 y una hora. Sí, es re tranqui, la verdad que cero. Venimos igual de jugar juegos así medio de terror, más al palo, así que los últimos quise jugar un poco más cómodos. Como que los puntos no eran para que hidrates vos, pensé que vos eras el Tamagotchi y el alien es el stream. Hijo de puta, ¿cómo anda, Fran? ¿Todo bien? Anda, ¿qué onda? Vos andás con finales, ¿no? No se ve ni una goma, Dale, gracias, Pau. Hay un delay terrible, sí, posta. Bueno, el perro tiró el hosteo y tipo un minuto después. Yo creo que se puede ver a que la compu está hoy que está esto a explotar,
The house was exactly like I remembered it, the way I'd been dreaming about it.
What? Ese ánimo despectivo, ¿no? Pero la parte derecha, la de allá, parece una villa. Es un tipo casa sobre casa. ¿Qué carajo? La villa española.
As a child, the house made me uncomfortable in a way I couldn't put into words. Now, as a 17-year-old, I knew exactly what those words were. I was afraid of
2017,
the
o sea
house.
que estamos en el 2016. Mañana tengo un final, sí, ya me rendí. Mañana se rompe el invicto, no. Igual sabes que a mí a veces me pasa, viste, cuando estás agotado, que, que me termina yendo bien. Como que el agotamiento también era medio como tu cerebro diciendo, afloja, ya está, o sea, tipo, sabes, tipo, corta acá porque necesito descansar y te sirve más descansar que seguir así medio fisura. Ah, bueno. Me cuesta tanto subir las escaleras con el DVD.
Crawling through the doggy door used to be a lot easier when I was 11.
Bueno, pero todavía entras. Ni tan mal.
The power had been turned off the night we left.
Este juego me hizo acordar un juego que jugué en el que sos un guardabosques, que era así más tranqui. Mira, ¿cuál es? No me suena. Los ingenieros en Harvard, en vez de hacer una tesis, hacen un test final tratando de explicar la física de las villas argentinas mal. No, esto no es agotamiento, es que no sé un pingo, bien ahí. El Firewatch, sí, ya sé cuál es. Lo vi bastante en stream, estuvo medio, no sé de moda, pero lo streamaban bastantes. Sí, después creo que hay otro que se llama Return to no sé dónde, que es como un pueblo. También así medio como espiritual, como que todos murieron en el pueblo y bueno, yo calculo vos también sos medio un espíritu o no sé qué onda. Ese también lo había visto, pero no me terminó. Es decir, vi el trailer y me recebó, pero después de un rato es como que
For the
dije, no,
first time in years,
no
I
sé.
felt like I was home.
Y estabas en tu casa, técnicamente es tu casa.
But instead of a family, there were just memories of one.
Son Eddie, la abuela Eddie, raro, Luis que murió y Don que calculo es la madre. Eh, Ahí está Eddie, abajo, no sé si ven. Murió en el 2010. El mismo año murió Luis, o sea que entendemos que por ahí murieron juntos y Don, no, Don murió en el 2016, nosotros estamos ahora en el 2016, o sea que murió recién. Lo único que no entiendo, Milton murió a los Ah, cuando ella tenía 4 años. Ah. Voy a conocer la Facu a ver qué onda. Ah, posta, ¿vas mañana? Ahí está, está muy bueno. Muy limpia la casa para no estar en el año. Sí, sí, muy limpia. Muy limpia. Comen, comen. Menos mal estoy leyendo para... A ver, libro de cocina.
Like how after Lewis started working at the cannery, we all got sick of eating salmon. Except our cat, Molly.
Apple pie.
Or how only one restaurant would deliver to our house. So we had Chinese a lot.
Bueno, está bien, ahora que está leyendo. Las flores de India, Tastentalian, flor... Todo libro de cocina.
The table was still a wreck from the night we left. It was like a bomb had gone off, killing everyone but sparing the furniture.
Uf. Fuertes palabras, Fuertes palabras. Uy, la silla...
My mom was the only one of us who could imagine Great-Grandma Edie living in a nursing home.
La bisabuela, muy bien, Eddie. Está bastante bien, Eddie, No sé, no calculé los años que tenía, pero...
Nothing in the house looked abnormal. There was just too much of it, like a smile with too many teeth.
Bueno, bastante creepy, ¿no? Una sonrisa con
Even
demasiado...
the fireplace had a story. Edie told me the bricks came from the original house, after it sank.
Es como que... No es como de terror, sino es más bien como una especie como de... Como incomodidad. Miren las letras, que raro se mueven. Después espero por pasarme. Abrazo, dale Pau. Y gracias por la raid. Y gracias ahí si te suscribiste en YouTube también. Sí, tengo que rendir presencial y por eso te digo, cero chance de probar. Aprovecho y me copio ejercicio para el mes de febrero y de paso conozco la facu para el final que tengo el jueves, piola. Pero al final que te venís a sacar las económicas, vas a estar al toque de casa. Al toque, al toque. No vamos a bajar todavía.
Great Grandpa Sven built a music box for Barbara, along with the rest of the house.
Barbara Finch, me hacía películas de terror. Siempre las cajitas musicales son muy creepy, ¿no? Estamos todos de acuerdo con eso.
My mom wasn't much of an optimist, but she never stopped believing that my brother Milton was alive.
What? ¿Y esta puerta bizarra?
After Milton
Ponte las
disappeared,
pilas. Sí,
Mom
sí, en
sealed up
Córdoba
all
del
the
2000.
bedrooms.
Mañana hay que ir a
Then
juez
Edie
conmigo. Habló
retaliated
el
and
decano
drilled
justo.
peepholes.
Después seguí reaccionando diciendo, what? Qué bizarro. Yo solo digo lo que tienen que hacer. Muy bien, Mati, está bien. Hay que apretarlo a estos pibes que se pongan a estudiar. What?
I spent a lot of time playing in Great Uncle Walter's room.
Pensé que estaba tipo física ahí levitándola. Yo dije, qué carajo.
I think my mom sometimes regretted not sealing it up.
Es rara, no voy a negar.
Lewis told
Pero...
me there were secret passages, but I never believed him.
Las 2000 leguas del viaje submarino.
Turns out,
Dale, no me vas a
my mom
mover.
was really good at keeping secrets.
Opa.
Now it was time to find out what my mom had been afraid of. From the paintings on the wall, it was clear my brother Milton had been here before me. Reading this, maybe it sounds like I had a plan.
¿Qué le habrá pasado
But
a
I
él?
had no idea what was behind that door.
No es el de Ver en ese libro,
Just like
sí.
I had no idea where all
Y
this
ese
was
es.
gonna lead. I grew up looking at Molly's room. Molly's gerbil had a tiny bedroom with its own even tinier gerbil cage. Being inside for the first time, I felt like I'd stepped behind a painting.
El cuarto de Molly. Vamos a ver quién era Molly, porque Molly es la abuela, en teoría, la hija de Eddie, que vivió 10 años. Uff. Creepy. ¿Qué le pasa a esta familia, no? Que
I got the sense Edie had spent a lot of time here before my mom sealed the doors.
ahí está, la necesita esa la Molly.
December 13th, 1947. Dear Diary, I'll be gone soon, but I wanted to tell somebody about what's gonna happen. It started when Mom sent me to bed without dinner. I woke up and I was starving, so I looked around for something to eat. The gerbil food was dry, but I didn't mind it. My Halloween candy was all gone.
¿La encerrarían a la nenita? A ver, vamos a ver.
Mom, can I come out now?
Sweetheart, it's late. Go to sleep.
Se pone raro esto.
I kept eating and eating.
¿Quién se come la pasta de diente, no? Comete un tereso también.
I ate a lot of things that night.
¿Qué le pasaste al hombre solitario?
Then I heard chirping outside my window. It was a barn swallow going back to her nest. I reached out for her. And suddenly,
What?
I was a cat.
¿Qué carajo? Qué manera boluda de morir que tuvo su a lo largo de la historia, ¿eh? Sí, mal. Y salta para ahí, gato. Dale.
I tried to be quiet, but the bird was really scared. Mom and Dad didn't even look at me.
Eso era plástico. Darwin nunca estuvo tan acertado. Qué rica pasta de dientes. ¿Cómo andas, Angelito? El gato de Johnny. Y el padre, mira. Ah, como ese. No entiendo muy bien. ¿Dónde fue el pájaro? El pajarundis. Ahí. No lo agarro más. Le va a comer a las crías.
The babies were all gone.
Ahí fui, creo que sí.
I jumped and I almost got her.
¿Qué fue ese ruido?
I could tell she was getting really tired.
¿Y ahí? ¿No puedo tirar?
Now I was up in the big tree. I promised Dad I wouldn't climb it anymore. All I cared about was eating that mama bird.
¿Cómo te vas a sacar de acá del árbol, mamita? Gato muerto, gato enterrado.
I gobbled her up. And suddenly, I was an owl.
What?
First, all I heard was the wind. Then I heard little teeth nibbling in the grass.
Ahora que pienso, no será un juego todo de una familia de furros, ¿no? Cuidado. ¿Ah? Uy. Cuidado, cuidado.
Rabbits.
Uy, si tengo que agarrar un conejo.
I imagined his face looking up and seeing mine through my talons. I swallowed him up, and I didn't chew one bit. Then I flew off to find something bigger.
Terriblemente asqueroso esto.
A mama rabbit.
¿Dónde está? Mother Rabbit, dijo. Ahí va. Esta sí la cazamos.
She was almost too big to carry. I started
¿Qué
choking,
hice con
but I
esto?
couldn't
Debe
stop
Mateo que
either.
con los resultados mínimo a preso, sí. Ah,
And suddenly, I was a shark.
¿qué? What? ¿De dónde cae el tiburón? Ah, la nieve, bien. Al agua, pato. Sí, yo lo voy a saltar, si es lo que todos se preguntan.
I rolled off the cliff and into the ocean. Now, I was hungrier than ever.
Necesito...
I wanted fat, juicy seals. I tore off her flipper, and it tasted really good.
Decí que no tiene sangre este juego, si no... Mamadera. Antiopio de grate, momento esquizo. Sí, mal. Y de acá que me va a transformar en una piedra. Ahí está la que le mordí la cola, pobre.
Grabbed on tight. But I was so hungry, I jumped out of the water. When I opened my eyes, everything had changed.
¿Qué soy ahora? Ah, bueno. Se viene la comida de humanos,
Now I was a monster, and I smelled people everywhere. I was big, but I moved real quiet.
Gracias, Fran, por esos comandos. No, no. Raccoon no está más.
I wanted to stop, but also I didn't. After the last passenger, I was still hungry. And to cross the water,
Me quería tirar ansia en Raccoon, no, no. Aparte, como no jode, ¿eh?
so I swam towards it.
No le bastó con comer
I
humanos.
slithered onto the sand, and the good smell went into an old pipe.
Tío, es tan fumeta que te atrapa, la historia. No, no salgas por el inodoro. Que se va a comer ella misma encima, pues está en mi baño, ¿o no?
I got closer and closer.
Sí.
All my stomach started growling. And suddenly, I was me again. I held my breath for a long time, but I couldn't hear anything. I think it's waiting for me to fall asleep. But it's not going to wait much longer. It needs to be, and we both know I will be delicious.
No, anuncio justo ahí, no. Justo ahí no anuncio. Qué importante ser no sí, mal.
I'm not sure if I believed all of that, but I'm sure Edie would have.
Está el monstruo, mire. Claro, no, justo hay un gato. Ah, me encanta, no. Una vez que saliste, chao. Fuiste.
This will be obvious later, but my mom never told me any of these stories. Edie would have, but Mom didn't like bringing up the past. Though, when we adopted a stray kitten, she was the one who named it Molly.
Rarísimos. Y sigue viendo el gato.
I spent a lot of time in Great-Grandma Edie's room.
Gente, si no quieren ser unos pussy llenos de anuncios, hagan como yo decía en su unirse a Legión. Vamos, esa. También podría usar Adblock. ¿Sabes que igual a mí con los Adblock creo que me aparecen? No me acuerdo, ahora me dejaste pensando.
Edie knit me a new pair of gloves every year, just in time to replace the old ones. Louis died a week before we left, but Edie had already started to memorialize him. Her room was like a museum. For 500 years, the Finches have been famous throughout Norway for their fortune and
Brilliant.
misfortune.
Raro. Lo que pasa es que lo desactivan Twitch para apoyar con anuncios. Además que lo sufran, nos hace un fraude trimestral, por eso solo tierra de clara, exacta. Nada de suerte, solamente ya no funciona ninguno porque cambiaron el API. Véanlos, denme platita, gente. Así comemos a fin de mes. Feliz Felices 90 pirulos. La abuela.
One summer, they evacuated the island, but Edie refused to go. For a few weeks, she was a celebrity.
A little forest fire.
I hadn't thought of myself as Edith Jr. for a long, long time. Edie gave a big interview about a mole man living under the Finch house. My mom was furious.
Siento que ahí
Even
todavía
in
me
their
falta.
90s, sometimes Edie seemed a lot younger than my mother. The only trace Grandpa Sam's first wife Kay left on the house was the pink bathroom. It was a
Horrible el
pretty
baño
big
rosa.
trace.
Sí, muy notorio, pero horrible.
There's a secret in this bathroom. It's in the last place you would look. It isn't in the cupboard. It's hidden in this book.
Facilito. Ah, me encanta porque se manda de uno ya. Saca los dólares del banco Fran hablando de comerse y se viene el correíto. No, sé. No.
Then gave Sam milk
No me
cans
digas.
he'd refurbished. He never put it down.
Perdone el ruido del camión de la basura, Vende a hacer una antigua no sé qué. No me digas eso, Fran, por favor. Igual creo yo que me enteraría si es posta lo de corralito, Creo yo. Vamos a ver si mis contactos funcionan.
I knew Grandpa Sam had a twin. And that he never talked about him.
Y ahora veremos por qué. What? Otro pasadizo. No, pero no te metas, la puta que te parió. Déjame explorar el resto. Cómo le gusta mandarse de una.
I guess my grandpa didn't like history any more than my mom did.
Ahí está, normal. A ver, Calvin.
How I Want to Remember My Brother by Sam Finch. The thing I remember is that when he made up his mind, that was it. My brother said he'd die before he ate another mushroom. And he did. At Barbara's funeral, we swore we'd never be afraid again. And he wasn't. I think Calvin always wanted to fly.
Vuela, Calvin. Vuela.
Sam, Calvin, dinner's ready.
Hacia los pinchos.
But
Uy,
that
no.
day, he finally made up his mind to do it. I told him going around was impossible. Maybe if I hadn't said that,
Calvin, I'm not gonna tell you again.
maybe if the wind hadn't picked up, then maybe he'd still be here. But I doubt it.
Chao, Pepe.
I think he'd already made up his mind.
Ya,
That's
escucha
what I
tu
want to
pipí.
remember about my brother. The day he made up his mind to fly. And he did.
Es heavy este juego, ¿eh? El ser de $2 de los bancos, ya sabemos quiénes siguen.
Calvin's
Tic-tac,
story
off.
felt strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing.
Che, el de Bárbara me lo repasé, ¿o no?
After the funeral, Edie roped off Calvin's half of the room.
Ah, ahí lo voy entendiendo, a ver si puedo volver. Tic-tac, tic-tac, tic-tac.
When Edie told people Sven was killed by a dragon, she could also have said he was building a dragon-shaped slide that collapsed. She could have, but she didn't. Odin Finch buries the latest victims of the family curse, his wife Ingeborg and their newborn son, Johann. On January 7th, 1937, he set sail with his family and his house, hoping to leave the curse behind. But 40-foot waves off the coast of
A la
Washington
mierda.
send the house and Odin to the bottom of the sea. Odin's daughter Edie, with husband Sven and baby Molly, step ashore on their new home, Orcas Island. Odin Finch is the first to be buried in the new family cemetery. His daughter Edie is already dreaming of a new Finch house.
Ahí va.
Whatever's wrong with this family, it goes back a long ways.
Y Bárbara. Bárbara, ¿dónde estaba? Ok, ya está. Esto ya está. Vámonos. La maldición del Fral Tube. Sí. Si lo llevo a hacer, se quedan todos ciegos. Esa es la maldición. Buenas, Angelito, muchas gracias por el hosteo. Che, ¿en qué nivel está Fralucci? Así veo si después le puedo cambiar el colorcito. Ah, acá está, mira. No había visto las escaleras. What?
Mom said Grandpa Sam enlisted at 18
Ah, la concha tuya,
never set
abrí.
foot in the room again.
Va, basta, abrí. Fran, me voy al sobre mañana arriba a ir hasta San Isidro, no se hace solo. Suerte con el esquizo protagonista. Dale, dale. Muchas gracias, Tocayo, por pasarte por el hostito. Y
The
por los
passages were a
puntazos.
pretty tight fit. They'd obviously been built for smaller hands and bellies.
Esto parece lo bárbara. No sé por qué. Sí.
Growing up, I always thought of Barbara as a child star.
Les dije. Bárbara.
I never thought about how hard it must have been for her afterwards.
¿Cómo quedó el pastel intacto, no? Es lo que todos nos preguntamos. A los 16 murió.
Of all the stories people wrote about Barbara's death, I'm surprised Edie saved this one.
Old Jack here with another ghastly tale inspired by America's most unfortunate family. I'm calling it The Surprise Ending of Barbara Finch. As a child star, Barbara was famous for her scream. Now at 16, she was all washed up. A has-been. But in a lucky break, she'd been asked to perform her signature scream at a local convention for monster movie fans. It was just the boost her career needed. Unfortunately, her scream hadn't aged well.
Getting better. I think you just need the right motivation.
Her biggest fan and current boyfriend, Rick, was about to demonstrate when...
Now that was a great scream.
It was Barbara's father, Sven. He'd slipped into a table saw and had to be rushed to the emergency room. So Barbara got stuck babysitting her youngest brother, Walter. Her convention comeback was cancelled.
Okay, I'm hearing frustration, but I'm not hearing terror. What if I tried...
A gang of hoodlums in Halloween masks have been terrorizing Orcas Island tonight. Police are urging residents to...
That came from the basement.
You're right! Also, I loved your delivery on that. Why is your basement door locked?
Because my dad likes making puzzles and secret passages. There's a key hidden in the music box. The secret is to keep winding and winding until finally the key pops out.
Thanks, babe.
Mira,
I'll be
mira.
back in a sec.
20 minutes later, Rick hadn't returned. So Barbara went to look for him, right on cue. She reached for the music box. And as she wound the key, she listened for Rick, but the house was silent.
Qué silencio. Chu. Es la música de Halloween.
Found Rick's crutch and imagined the worst.
Es Mike Myers.
The gang's leader is the infamous Hookman killer, Dr. Carl Hamill, who impaled and then ate his family 10 years ago tonight.
The old fridge rattled and grew still.
Barb, relax. I was just trying to scare you to help you find your scream.
Well, I'm not scared, Rick. I'm furious.
Then act furious. All I'm getting from you now is that you're hurt and confused and you...
She threw him out, but she kept a little something to remember him by.
Barb, have you seen my other crutch?
And she was still holding it when she fell asleep watching the late picture show. Hours later...
Barbara! Walter, what's going on up there? Ah! Okay, I'm coming up, but if this is a trick, you're dead, Walter.
Está copando el juego, ¿eh? Me copa como que cada parte sea visualmente distinta.
Walter vanished, but his bedside radio was still on.
Orcas Island police describe the man as
Lo
6
normal
feet
es...
tall with a steel hook for a
Y esto
hand.
no, ¿qué onda? Está bueno.
Residents are urged to lock all doors and windows and notify the police of any suspicious activity.
Barbara turned, saw the bookman, and was speechless. He was quite smashing. And he couldn't get enough of Barbara.
Okay, Barbara, there's gotta be another way out of here.
That night, she played her part beautifully. Molly's door hadn't been opened in years. The hinges groaned. He wasn't moving, but she sensed the story might not be over yet.
Era obvio que no iba a estar.
The bookman had vanished. She listened for his breathing, but all she heard was...
Ting, ting. ¿Quién es? ¿Será la policía?
At the door, she heard whispering. It was coming from inside the house.
What?
Oh dear.
¿Qué?
The monsters had come to surprise her. To Barbara, it was a dream come true. Then she saw what kind of monsters they were, and she realized what was about to happen. She was going to be famous. And with her final breath, Barbara Finch gave the performance of her life.
Disculpen, no sé qué le pasa al Streamlabs, que a veces es como que petea. No sé si tiene algo que ver con ¿cómo se llama? Como la compu en sí, o o es algo del programa, no, le juro que no sé qué es lo que pasa. Esperen que me voy a bajar un poco el mic, lo tenía muy fuerte el mic. Te juro, no sé qué pasa, pero bueno, ahí F5. No sé hasta dónde llegaron a ver, pero básicamente ella se acerca hasta la puerta. Bueno, digamos, vieron la parte que lo golpea el chabón por la espalda, ¿no? Al tipo del gancho lo golpeas por la espalda, se cae, bajas la escalera y cuando lo vas a ver el tipo desapareció. Te tocan el timbre, vas a ver quién es el timbre y escuchás susurros adentro de la casa, te das vuelta y está lleno de monstruos y gente tipo Drácula, el hombre lobo, como todos los distintos personajes de las pelis de terror. Y Bárbara es como que cree que está tipo en un show y todos de repente se transforman y se ponen tipo malignos y se la ponen a comer. Y ese es el final de Bárbara. Lo único que encuentran de Bárbara es una oreja que dejan en la cajita musical. Y dan como por asesino al novio, porque el novio desaparece. Directamente solo encuentran la muleta. Así que bueno, una muerte bastante desagradable la Bárbara, pero pudo pegar el grito del final al menos. Qué loco, encima tipo, gracias por el hosteito de vuelta, Angelito. Un año antes, no, ¿cuánto? Sí, un año, un año después, o sea, Calvin pierde a la hermana el año anterior que se suicida básicamente. ¿Quién es? Ah, y Walter, que Walter por lo que entiendo del árbol genealógico es el primo, porque está como atravesado para el otro lado. No, pero hijo era el... que era el hermano. Claro, es el hijo de Odín. No, de Sven. Ahí va. Ok, Odín se casó con Ingeborg. Ahí está. Entonces Walter es el hijo de Sven y Eddie. Ok, son los 5 hijos. Ahí creo que vamos entendiendo. El tema es que todos están muriendo, así que yo seguro que termino muriendo, ¿no? También. Qué bello juego.
I guess now I know why Mom didn't like me playing with the music box. Edie's father Odin built the original house.
Bien, una así yo me quiero hacer acá en casa. Exactamente así. Como semicircular con vidrios para poner todos los chupis.
Whenever people ask me about my family, the first thing they always want to know about is Barbara.
Interesante. Acá está Walter.
It's funny. All those times I played with the music box and never found the basement key.
Muy bien. Perfecto. ¿Seguimos subiendo o vamos para el sótano? Parece que va a haber que ir al sótano. Vamos a seguir subiendo. Pues vaya, ¿cómo sabes si te ha saltado algo? No,
I
me
wonder if
parece
that
que no.
comic was right about there being a key inside the music box near the basement. Mom must have locked the third floor stairs on the night we left.
Me parece que son esos juegos que no sabes, Angelito. Lo único que sé que me puedo saltar es gente. Pone, me faltan Edith, Sven. Sven y Ingeborg son las únicas, y Senshei, esas de la hojita, que no son familia de sangre directa, creo que son los únicos que podemos llegar a no tener. Pero por ahora me quedan 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Vamos al sótano. Aquí claramente hay puertas cerradas.
A lot of things got left behind in the whirlwind of that last night.
¿Y dónde está la cajita musical? Si yo la vi. Pensé que está en ese pasillo. ¿Y esto?
Maybe I should go check out that music box down by the
Sí, ya sé
basement.
que tenés que ir a la caja musical, pero no era acá, en este pasillo. Ah, acá estaba, sí. Pasé al lado y ni me di cuenta. Veo muchas puertas cerradas, a lo mejor están ahí. Claramente, sí. Ahí deben estar. Muy bien. Facilito. Bueno, por lo menos hay luz. Ya bastante con la historia, ¿no?
Mom said the basement was off limits, unless I wanted another tetanus shot.
Acá donde se las tengo es Ben, que es mi
I
bisabuelo.
saw Edie sneak down to the basement once, carrying packages.
Raro, Eddie. Raro,
I thought maybe
Eddie.
she was hiding presents. It turned out she was hiding a lot more than that. I remember asking Mom once about where Walter had gone. She said after Barbara died, he got as far away as he could. If there's a pattern in all these stories, I think it's that none of us has gotten very far.
Walter.
Goodbye, everyone. I can't believe I've been down here for 30 years. On that first day, after the shaking started, I didn't think I'd survive the evening. But after a few days, I settled into a routine. That's what kept me sane. Having a schedule, living for today. I always expected to be dead tomorrow. But if you wait long enough, you get used to anything.
Ah, no, me fui cuando morí en el 2000.
Even a monster on the other side of the door starts to feel normal. Almost friendly.
En el 76.
And then one day, everything just
Ahí va. Ya estamos por morir.
stopped. Whatever that thing was, it was gone. Maybe it got tired of waiting. Or maybe I just got tired of being afraid. It's been a week now, the longest in 30 years. I'm done waiting. I have to leave while I still can.
Sí, ahora vas a morir. Exactamente. Ese fue tu error, Walter. No me dejan pasar. Su error forma parte del juego. Parte de la familia también, ¿no? Ya es como que... Ya lleva el apellido
I
como
know
una
it's out
maldición.
there somewhere. Whatever killed Barbara and Molly and Calvin Maybe this is all a mistake. But I need to stop living the same day. Even if it
30
kills me.
años. 30 años.
Whatever's out there, I want you to know I'm ready for it.
¿Hay algo que persigue a familia? Es como una maldición, parece.
I'm going to appreciate all of it, especially the food.
Como
I
lo
don't
pisa
mind
el
if I
tren.
don't have a week off. Or a month.
¿De
Or
qué?
a single week.
Minuto.
I'd be happy with one new day. I can already imagine the sun on my face.
Y sí, era obvio. Para mí es algo como una maldición que trajo el bisabuelo al mudar la casa, algo de eso. Para mí viene por ahí.
Walter died when I was 6. I can't believe my mom never told me he was down here.
Qué locos. O sea, tenía el abuelo ahí abajo,
I'm sure my mom was trying to protect me. Maybe she was afraid I'd end up like Walter.
Que vas a acabar como todos, está claro eso.
But if she never told me about an uncle under the house, I can only imagine what else she was hiding.
O sea, él es el tío. Pero eso es lo que no entiendo. Don es la madre. No. Ah, el tío le dice al abuelo. Eso es medio raro.
I don't want to make the same mistakes she made.
¿Qué mierda es eso?
Trying to bury something that's still alive. Now that there's only one of us left, or maybe 2, I thought it was time I heard the stories for myself and found out what happened to everyone else. But now I'm worried the stories themselves might be the problem. Maybe we believed so much in a family curse, we made it real.
No me puedo suicidar bien. Eso es bueno.
I don't know if I should even be writing this. Maybe it'd be better if all this just died with me.
What? ¿Quién me prende las luces?
But I thought you should know about your family.
Ah, yo soy entonces... ¿Quién soy? Ah, capaz estoy embarazada. Fuerte palabra, ¿no? Estoy embarazada. Porque si a alguien le habla, alguien está dejando el jornal. Una jovencita no para quedar embarazada. Pero bueno, no hay que juzgar. Estaría bueno poder correr, ¿no?
Though to be honest, I feel as lost as you probably do right now.
Así estoy más al medio. Si no estoy muy para el costado.
I think the people in these stories believed them, for what that's worth.
Hay más luz. Vamos al muelle. Allá hay como una plataforma. Me encanta cuando voy a lugares que no me dan nada. Ahí estamos viendo la casa.
And when you look at the house, that history of imagination and stubbornness and madness, any of it seems possible.
Otro anuncio. Fuera Angelito, te los comes todos los anuncios. Bien, no tengo lugares para ir. Yo no se podía volver a entrar a la casa.
I think we've been surrounded by death for so long, we've just gotten used to it. What kind of family finishes building a cemetery before starting the house?
Sí, la verdad. En eso tienes razón.
It's embarrassing for me to admit this, but the pet cemetery made me more uncomfortable than the human one. 3 of the gerbils were mine, and 2 had been my fault.
Surpi, lurpi, surpi, churpi, urpi. Durpi, durpi, shue. Shadow, buen nombre.
Sven built the house, but it was Edith who designed the cemetery.
Molly, un gatito. Calvin, a cada uno lo que le gustaba. Finch leer, Walter una piedra. Raro. Para Finch la estrella, todos representados por lo que...
I'm sure Odin's monument had been Edie's idea. My mom was always trying to move on, but for Edie, the past never went away. She could see it poking out of the water at low tide.
Al menos será cortito. Ah, eso. Sí, hay unos que son como de 6 segundos.
Edie's side was always easier for me to understand. Edie said she dreamed about the old house every night.
Mucho silencio, Está interesante la historia, la verdad.
But the older I get,
Como
the
lo
more
relatan.
I can see where my mom was coming from. Her dad had been pretty strict, but it wasn't enough to save her brothers. She was just trying to do better.
Claramente nadie pudo salvar a los Finch.
She lost 2 of her brothers, just like I did. I get why she tried so hard to protect us. We never found Milton's body. So my mom insisted we were putting up a monument, not a tombstone.
Está bien, eso está bueno. ¿Y mi tumba? ¿Dónde está mi
There's
tumba?
so many things I wish I could ask my mom now.
La
Part of
abuela,
me
la
thinks
madre.
this is what she wanted all along. For me to come back someday and find everything out for myself. But looking back on it now, if she told me there was going to be so much climbing, I never would have come when I was 22 weeks pregnant.
Les dije, les dije. Ay, soy tan capo a veces. Se agranda el álbum familiar.
I never met Grandpa Sam, but I think he and my mom had a lot in common. They were both pretty intense.
Sam.
Dawn, I promise, you'll never forget this weekend.
Yes, sir.
These memories are gonna last a lifetime.
Hmm? Am I gonna have to shoot anything?
It's a hunting trip, Dawn. Shooting is strongly encouraged. Perfect.
It's gonna rain the whole weekend, isn't it? I will never forget this weekend, Dad.
That's the spirit. Okay, got it.
I'm gonna take some pictures, okay?
Just be careful. The camera's older than you are.
Aw. You're right, Dad. It's starting to clear up. Still freezing, though.
Aquí le tengo que sacar foto.
Definitely should not have drunk all that coffee.
Hold still while I take a picture of you.
Hey!
That's a keeper.
I'm just saying, I'm not always gonna be here, Dawn. You'll need to remember this stuff, if you want to survive.
I'll be fine, Dad.
You know who else thought he was gonna be—
Dad!
Good eyes, Dawn.
Oh, qué bella foto.
Before you take the shot, let me get a picture of him.
Dad, I...
Let me get behind him.
Do I have to do this?
Dawn, you don't have to do anything. But if you want to survive, you'll need to be strong. Great shot, Dawn!
Sádico, el chabón, una selfie.
I'm proud of you, Dawn. Always remember that, okay?
Soy el hombre de plastilina.
Sorry, Dawn, just gotta reset the timer.
Corre, 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 corre.
Dad, it's twitching. I think
That's
it's...
totally normal, Dawn. Just focus on the camera. Try not to think about it.
Dad!
No. ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué verlo en el momento que está muriendo?
Of all these stories, that's the one I wish most that my mom had told me.
O sea, nada, 33 años, a mi edad se murió. Che, ¿y qué onda? Cuando la hago.
Sam spent his life shooting photos, but Mom said he got nervous being in front of the camera. I guess we're all afraid of something. Instead of hiding from death, Sam seemed to go out of his way to meet it.
Ok. ¿Quién era gay? Ah, la que sería la mujer. No, pero no era el abuelo. La mujer de este era Dawn. No, la hija. No, hay algo ahí que no estoy entendiendo bien. Hay algo que no estoy entendiendo. No, pero... oh, Dios. Tampoco es que tiene tanta cosa para encontrar, ¿no? Pero... lo que pueda ver, me gusta ver.
After Sam died, my mom and Edie got really close. They both lost a lot.
Gregory, ¿quién es Gregory? Ah, viene. Ok, o sea... claro, Eddie perdió al hijo y Don perdió al padre. Y Gregory es el hermano de Don. Que en 1950 murió. 2 años tenía la concha de la lora, no. Esa historia no la quiero ver. Ese chon ya lo había perdido al hijo. Y 1 año antes se le había muerto el otro. O sea, le quedaba una. Una de los 3 se había muerto. No, no. Es tristísima. Está... oh, Dios. No era lo que me esperaba este juego, ¿eh? Súper triste. Prepárense, horrible hacer esto.
Dear Kay, do you remember the way Gregory used to laugh when he thought he was alone? Like something funny was happening, but only he could see it. I think he saw things the rest of us don't.
Gregory, it's time to... Hold on, sweetie.
No.
Hello? Sam, I told you I don't want to talk right now.
I wonder what he saw. What his world was like. Reminded me so much much of Calvin.
Quiero tirar toda la letra.
Lost in his imagination. Whatever it was, he saw.
Puedo tirar esa letra. Yo les dije, sabía que había un trofeo ahí.
Sure made him happy. Silly it sounds. And I worry about a baby being too happy. But I can feel him slipping away.
Sorry about that, Gregory.
I know you did everything you could. Maybe if I hadn't called that night.
Damn it. Hold on, I don't want Gregory to hear this.
I wish you could have told us about the world we saw.
Ay, tenías tanta razón, Angelito.
There's so much I don't understand.
Sabía el
About
shampoo,
Gregory.
sí, más o menos.
About everything. But I know what happened wasn't your fault.
Y parece que un poco de culpa de ella fue.
I'm sure he's happy. He wanted to be happy too. Good luck, Kay. Love, Sam.
Se me guardan todas las cosas con las que murió. Tétrico. Tétrico. Y dice, me molesta mucho tener a Eddie ahí abajo. Ahí. Siento que ya capaz la tendría que haber visto.
I can't imagine my mom ever writing poetry, and yet
Poema para Gus.
A poem for Gus, who always said the wedding was a bad idea. Our father never hit us kids, at least not very hard, before the day my brother said with teenage disregard that he'd be dead before he'd see a wedding in our yard.
La super cometa que no, una vez se cae, no, sigue volando.
My father made him come, of course, but Gus stood far apart just flew his kite and bottled up the storm inside his heart. I tried to talk him out of it, but though he'd never met her, "We don't need a stepmom," were the words that I
now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride.
Estaría en el sótano. ¿Dijiste que muere el día de la boda?
When the time for photos came, Dad ordered him to come here. But Gus declined, and as a sign held up his middle finger. The wind picked up, and panicked geese appeared and quickly went. But all the humans did that day was go inside the tent. The rain came down in buckets then, but no one seemed afraid that nature might destroy the tent our dad had crudely made. Thunder sounded much too close and full of angry power. But all my father said to this was, "Make the music louder."
Una cerveza. Que haga la música más fuerte. Ah, la mierda todo. Muerto por una carpa. Me agarra eso.
I wish that I could
serio,
truly
espero que
say
no.
I thought about you on that
Perdóname
day.
cómo morí.
Out there on the beach alone, just you, the wind, the sea, and foam. But I didn't. Until we found you.
Parece que lo hacen a propósito, los tiran justo.
She never talked about him, but Mom told me once if I was a boy, they were going to name me Gus.
Decime que lo viste, Angelito. Si no, este es el peor stream de la historia. Es un fiasco. F ponía, ah, bueno, lo viste por lo menos.
My mom moved up to the loft after her brothers died.
Ah, porque está bien, voy por años. Si no me equivoco. Vi a Molly que muere en el 47, Odín, después 60, 61, 2005, 83, está bien, estoy más o menos yendo por años. O sea, ahora tengo que ver Don, que murió en el 2016. Claro, voy ahora lo veo a Don. Después Eddie Milton, está bien.
At the time, it was as far away as she could get.
Claro, pobrecito, mueren tus dos hermanos. Mamadera. Igual me recopa la casa.
She spent a summer building houses in Calcutta, where she met my dad, Sanjay.
Volar a la India. Y ahora Parece que había algo ahí arriba, ¿eh? Vi un brillito. Tutis, tutis, tutis. ¿Qué onda, Angelito? ¿Te está gustando? A mí la verdad me está gustando, ¿eh? Bastante interesante.
My mom moved to India a week after graduation and got a job teaching English. Louis was born a year later.
Se viene Luis. Luis 2010. Sí, debería ser Luis o Milton. Debe ser Luis.
When my dad died, I don't think Mom knew where else to go. I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back. And to see kids in the house again.
Pequeñas plantitas. Uy, lo don está todo seco. Que se mueve.
The house had to get a little bigger, but Edie was used to that.
Me encanta, claro, porque va cerrando cuartos y va abriendo nuevos.
And for a while, things were good. Almost normal.
Louis Rules, Edith, Sam, Gregory, están todos.
But it didn't last.
Qué bizarro, ¿no? Que sea todo como una comunidad en sí misma, la familia esta.
The beginning of the end was Milton's 10th birthday, when Edie gave him a castle.
Bueno, no me voy enterando mucho en tanto anuncio, pero Twitch lo hace mal en el sentido que siempre se lo trae el mismo. Debería estar más distribuido. Para mí, ¿sabes por qué? Pues sos el único que está acá, Angelito. Es por eso. Si hubiera más gente sí lo distribuiría, pero como no hay nadie. Igual después esta semana lo voy a subir a YouTube, así que ahí vas a poder ver las muertes pendientes. Tranqui, así lo completas todo, ver. Que creo lo mejor es subirlo todo de una, ¿no? Pues casi como una peli esto. Está interesante. No es tan lento. A ver qué pasa con Milton.
I think Edie was happy to finally have another painter in the family.
Qué lindo castillo, igual que el hermano del pibe.
Milton Finch in The Magic Paintbrush.
Qué lindo juego, ¿eh? La verdad que le pusieron ganas. Está muy lindo. Ya está, claro, pues no sabemos dónde carajo está. Muy locos.
I was 4 when Milton disappeared.
Que no hay ni una foto de... Ah, pues son todos dibujos. Locos. Falta Luis.
Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors. Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out.
Ya en los últimos pisos, ¿eh? ¿Qué nos pasará a nosotros?
Mom definitely blamed Edie, but I think Louis blamed himself. After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room. Until Mom got him a job at the cannery.
Y ahora se viene otra muerte más. Por si nos quedamos con ganas de muertes. Pues vaya, una familia trágica ya encima. La familia F. F de Finch. Y este como el abuelo Dean.
Louis's room smelled very, very familiar. That part of him lived on.
No salgas. Es como que tocas apenas y ya te hace toda la animación completa. Dale, metete. Para salir. Hashish, marihuana. Por si nos quedan legales de marihuana, man. San Juan e Hill. Eso no lo vieron acá, acá es en el psicotrópico,
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Louis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Louis first noticed the monotony of his daily life. He kept working at the cannery, but he withdrew part of himself. In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to wander.
Ah, no entendía, claro, digo, ¿qué es?
I asked him to describe it.
Estás haciendo las dos cosas a la vez,
Imagining a labyrinth.
Yo muevo el pez y muevo al personaje ahí, Por el momento me corto la mano.
He'd feel his way about. Then something moved. Bats.
Me dan un trofeo.
And toads.
Cortar cabeza de pescados. Fuck. Al momento. Siempre me pasa en stream, ¿se dieron cuenta? Hay que ver cuánto dura la batería. Ah, pues yo, claro. Esto, ¿saben por qué pasa? Porque yo, como juego off stream antes de arrancar siempre, por eso pasa.
And things that have not names. He knew it was all in his head. But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself. But he found something more. I worried about him then. Daydreaming at the cannery. I spoke with his boss. But he said Louis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused. like a whole new Lewis. So I let him go on. I even encouraged him. It seemed very promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend. On the edge of a city he named Lewis Topia. He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians. And songs for them to play. He talked about starting a band. He was always humming something. Every day his imagination grew stronger. He no longer spoke at the cannery. But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him. All the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination, so he could do whatever he wished. He held an election for mayor. And he won. They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him. He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on. New Louisville. St. Louis. He started drifting away from our reality. Minneapolis, until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Lewis kept sailing on. In Lewisburg, he heard rumors of a handsome queen.
Ah, mira, LGTB.
The queen was on her own quest for radiant rainbows. He followed the sound of her silver harp. His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound. He knew the world was all
sigue
in his
cortando casa del
imagination.
pescado. Es todo fuerte lo que habla, esta parte. Habla de nosotros. Vamos a juego todos los días.
But he was so proud of having created it. In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king. For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Lewis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace. My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him.
Y ahora Luis, que te vas a suicidar. A ver esto.
He began to forget the world we know.
Te dejo prendido con mi mantita si me voy bien y se me va comentando. No suena. Dale, Angelito.
I think it
Descansa
pained him to
tranqui.
remember Lewis, the cannery worker.
Ahí está, mira en la
He
escalera.
began to despise the man with a royal contempt.
Todo eso tiró el chabón. What the fuck? Siempre me fueron jugando Twitch, volví. Bueno, dale. Vamos a ver cómo muere así, no te lo perdés. Mira todos los que hizo.
I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder.
Dios. Mira, escalofríos.
The palace would be packed with his companions.
Tienen mi cara. Es muy creepy que te sigan.
Including the wise Calico who'd insisted on advising him. His queen waited, holding his crown. There was only one thing left to do.
Se acuerda. Dale, yo te
Bend down his head.
Qué chévere que es eso. Ay, Dios.
And the rest I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
Terrible esto. Bitácora de las muertes.
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him. He was so proud of being Indian. I think for him, it was a way to be something other than just a Finch.
2016 y 2000. Ah, puede ser que ahora venga Eddie, ¿eh?
On the way back from Lewis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie.
Ahí se viene Edie.
I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder. I wish we'd stayed. But I understand why we left.
Sí, no puedes estar mucho en esa casa. Dios, qué desesperanza este juego te da.
My mom ended up leaving everything behind. What happened that night had been coming for a long time. Maybe it should have come sooner.
Se suicidó.
But it had to end one way or another. All that's left now is to tell you about that last night. That whole last day, Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word.
Las mató
Until supper, when
todas.
she raised her glass and said,
To our final night together, and all our final nights apart.
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith, you're excused.
Suicidio en grupo, ¿no? ¿Estamos de acuerdo?
the power had been shut off that morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles. When my mom sealed the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance. Or that Edie had a key to it.
That thing you're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house. Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your stories. I think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight. We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning, okay?
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That night, the tide went way, way out. It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground. There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life.
Así que decidió meterse, obviamente.
But I never thought I'd go back to it. When the fog rolled in, I lost my way. turned around. For a while, I wondered. I started seeing things. Things I'd forgotten had ever existed. But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me. Or maybe I came back to them. Things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine.
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it! Let go! I kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car. I never saw Great-Grandma Edie again. The next morning, the band came to pick her up, but she was already gone. After that, we moved around a lot. We both tried to make the best of it. A few years went by.
Bueno, pues muy lindas las interacciones que
My mom
tenés.
didn't like to talk about it. But she started getting sick a lot. The rest happened pretty quickly. She got better for a while, and then she didn't. And then I was alone. The last Finch left alive. Until I found out about you. I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And appreciate how strange and brief all of this is. This journal was supposed to be for you.
No me digas que no nace. La puta que lo parió. Ah, yo tengo que hacer algo. Yo me tenía que morir.
But now I hope you'll never see it. I just want to meet you. And tell you all these stories myself. But I guess if you're reading this now, things didn't work out that way.
La puta que lo parió.
This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it. It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
Eso es un pibito. 18 años. La puta que lo parió. ¿verdad? Que todos los Dallas la hicieron. Ah. La foto de todos los creadores de niñez. Genial. Qué buena es una foto de niña. Bueno. Espero que les haya gustado. A mí la verdad me encantó, ¿eh? Hace muchísimo que quería jugar este juego. Y la verdad la narrativa, todo es muy muy lindo juego. Estuvo bueno, ¿no, Angelito? La verdad, vaya historia totalmente. La verdad está muy bien pulida. Sigue siendo como una película interactiva, pero muy entretenido lo que interactúas, que cada historia sea distinta, esté relacionada con el personaje. Es muy muy atractiva, la verdad. Estaba por decir, no sabemos cómo murió la madre, pero sí, había enfermado. Qué linda foto, che. Gracias, Johan. Un trofeo por ver el cuadro. Supongo que murió al dar a luz. Claro, exactamente. Dice, productor, es re parecido a mi hermano. Qué loco. El nenito de 2 años, terrible. Steve Green. Nah, mortal esa foto. Ay, qué cara esa nena. Ah, una nena, mira. Muy buena esa también. Un búho así, mal. Tom Bizzle. Annapurna hace buenos juegos. No, zarpa. Ah, esta debe ser los actores, ¿no? Annapurna, no me acuerdo. Otro juego ya jugamos a Annapurna. James Massey. Playtesters. Dino Patty. ¿Por qué algunos estaban juntos? Raro. De vuelta Dino Patty. Trick or treat, smell my feet. Enjoy, thank you. Love memory, Leo Finch. David Finch team. The end. La opción de repetir una historia ya está disponible. Selecciona Edith para jugar desde el principio. Bueno, gente, no sé qué será la de repetir una historia. Después nos fijaremos, pero no sé si... Creo que hay unos desbloqueables adicionales, así que después chusmearemos. Hasta aquí llegó, espero que les haya gustado. Por favor, coméntenme a ver qué les pareció, si les gustó o no les gustó. Me encantaría saber más al respecto. Si les gustó que traiga este tipo de juego, denle manito, coméntenmelo en los comentarios. Se me suman a Discord, me dicen y traemos más de estos juegos. A mí la verdad me encantó y me re gusta traer juegos distintos para ir probando, que sean estas joyitas que encontramos cada tanto que no se conocen tanto. Así que sin más, gente, por por favor recuerden suscribirse, me ayuda un montón. Likear, comentar todo.